All right, here we are with another episode of The High Ground, powered by Premier Company. Sal, how's it going today?
Well, I got to tell you, Ryan, it's going really good. If you can see what I got some popcorn.
Well, we have snacks today. Yeah, Outstanding. That is nice. Well, that sort of must be a prelude to our guest then today.
That's a bit of a clue.
Yeah, I guess. So without further ado, that introduction, we have Bryan Churchill with us today, National Account Manager for Preferred Popcorn. Bryan, how's it going today?
Just fine. Fine.
Good. Hey,
thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us. So, as a guest of the podcast, we certainly want to dig into your business and what you're involved in. But we're going to start you off with the question of the day, and I think you're ready for this. Sal, you ready for it? This is your question, so yeah.
I never know how. I wonder if our listeners keep going past the question of the day, or if they just tune in just for that.
I hope they go. I hope so. All right, Bryan, your question of the day is: what upcoming project are you most excited about?
Well, just putting the seeds in the ground is one of the best projects every year. I mean, just watching those come up and take off and grow. But Sal and Ryan, the best thing that we've got going this year, I think the Popcorn Board has engaged with Purdue University and Dr. Quinn. They did this in 2023 and will repeat it in 24, doing a nitrogen study on applying from 70 units of nitrogen to 300 units of nitrogen per acre, and trying to get that curve established by a credible university as to what is the highest reward for your inputs. And we're trying to prove that popcorn farmers are excellent stewards of the ground.
Kind of like one of the holy grails of agriculture is just trying to find out how much is enough and how much is too much. We've been chasing that in field corn for a lot of years.
Yes. Yeah. We just here in Indiana, we have growers that apply from 100 units to 250 units of nitrogen. And some years they end up with almost the same yields.
The variability in the weather. There's so many weather factors and other things that can come into. It's hard to get that one nailed down. So we'll be interested to hear how that ends up.
Yes,
that is a big project.
Yeah, I get to go meet with Dr. Quinn next week at Purdue and go over his analysis for this year. And as they plan in the next year, they have two growers in the state that are participating with that as well. One of them is our growers, another one is Weaver's growers.
Awesome.
So
cool.
Good deal.
All in Indiana. We'll get to that as how Indiana stacks up against popcorn producers. But Sal, what's your most exciting project you've got coming up?
I'd say it's kind of personal. It's the most exciting coming up, but it's kind of in the middle of it, just finishing. Built a barn dominium. And if those that don't know what a barn dominium is, it's a pole barn that's got a living quarters kind of attached on one side. It's kind of a fancy pole barn. And on one side is my shop. It's a 40 by 60 square foot shop on one side. And then the other part is 1,000 square feet, 2-bedroom, 2-bath living quarters for my mother-in-law. So
Didn't all barns always have living quarters in them? Isn't that what we used to call them stalls, but I guess in 2024 we're a little uppity now.
She's got much better than stalls.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
There's no wash racks in this barn.
Oh, okay. Well, I thought all barns had living quarters in them.
But it is nice, and it's wish I'd done it years ago. Pretty nice little setup.
Yeah. Well, I
wish I'd built it. It'd been cheaper 5 years ago, but
yeah, I assume your friends have been invited to see it.
We're gonna have.
I haven't seen it yet.
We are going to have an open house. We've talked about this. It's right there on the school road, so there's enough people have seen the progress. So we're going to actually have an open house in the spring.
Well, that'll be good. That'll be good. Yeah. I'll be waiting for my invite. So.
Okay.
All right. Well, I guess I'll stick with work on mine. So we're in the midst of consolidating two agronomy locations in the Lawrence County area. In Washington County area, so we've got a new project, hopefully starting and completion. Looking for completion right now. We're looking for a potential start in Campbellsburg of a new agronomy facility. So looking forward to that.
So I left that one for you. You guys had like Sunday school answers here.
Right, we did.
Planting the seeds and the next big project from work.
Yep.
So
I appreciate it.
All right.
But I didn't build anything cool at home, so I would have gone that direction. So anyway, back to the important stuff. So Bryan, with Preferred Popcorn, tell us a little bit about your career prior to, lead up, and now with Preferred.
I planted my first wheat crop when I was a sophomore in high school. I've just always wanted to farm. And then I started planting I planted my first popcorn crop in 1979. I got out of high school and went to work for Ramsey Popcorn, worked on their farm, and we raised livestock and some crops and started growing some white field corn for them. And then I did that for 10 years, and then I started farming on my own and kind of got sidetracked into growing more vegetables than row crops, and did that for 20 years, and really enjoyed all the thrills and challenges of that. And then Leanne Preston owned what started out as Gettlefinger Popcorn, and she was needing some help with some sales and building up her bulk business, and that was kind of what I wanted to get back towards. And so I've been there since 2007, and then sold that company. Leanne sold the company to Preferred Popcorn in 2010, and then we've just continued to expand and grow from there.
So tell us where you're located.
Okay,
We skipped that. Yeah.
Sorry.
No, you're fine.
Palmyra, Indiana.
Palmyra. Okay. Southern Indiana. Way down there.
So 2010 is when Preferred Popcorn. So up until then, it was kind of an independent operation, same location?
Same location, Gettlefinger Popcorn. Herb and Irvin Gettlefinger started processing popcorn there in 1938. So they had an Orville Redenbacher, Welcome Weaver, Ramsey Popcorn with the Sig family. They all kind of started about that same time. It's just, and then as World War II went on and came out of that, the popcorn business industry just kind of blossomed from there. And so that's why at one point there were 4 popcorn processors in Harrison County.
Wow.
So, which is Indiana's first state capital, Corydon. Palmyra is just north of Corydon. So it's there's really no rhyme or reason about the ground being any more special than any other ground.
Oh, it's special ground down there. That's for sure.
It is.
If you know about farming, Harrison County's it's got a lot of rolling hills and sinkholes and what have you made since 2010? Has there been a lot of improvements, or have you done a lot of different things?
Yes, with Preferred Popcorn, they do a lot of exporting. We do a lot of exporting. We also focus mainly on the movie theater business around the world. The Gettlefinger started exporting corn in the 1970s to some customers in Japan and Korea. Very proud that we still sell those customers still today. So that. No different than your co-op. You want long-lasting customers, and the same with growers. You want people that's going to be on your team both ways. So that's an exciting part of it. And Preferred has continued to grow. And then in December of 23, the Preferred people sold out to Performance Food Group, which is a bigger organization, and they were some of our biggest customers delivering to the movie theaters across the country. So it was just kind of a win-win for everybody. It's a bigger company. They just want to see us grow. Norman Krug, the founder of Preferred Popcorn, is still in charge of sales. He's my boss still. So we just continue to grow and expand.
Does it have multiple facilities, or is it just mostly Southern Indiana?
Preferred Popcorn started in 1995 in Chapman, Nebraska. It was four farmers that wanted to see how they could add value to popcorn. Was a crop that they loved to grow, and there was a vacant popcorn plant sitting there, and so they purchased that and took off. And then they had got some customers on the East Coast, and they're in Chapman, Nebraska, which is a long way from New York and New Jersey. So they needed some help shipping corn logistics-wise to the East Coast. And so Norm and I kind of hit it off, and we started doing that in 2008, 2009, and then they purchased the place in 2010. And at that point, we were doing about 10 loads a week, and now we do over 40 loads a week.
40 loads a week, semi-loads.
Semi-loads, yes, sir.
Huh. So you're located in Palmyra, Indiana. Obviously, not all your popcorn fields are located in Harrison County. So give us an idea of the spectrum of acreage that you have.
Harrison County and Southern Washington counties is our main headquarters for growing acres. We have 17 farmers in Harrison County alone. We want to keep it that way, but in order to, after 2012 and the drought, my boss came to me and he said, Bryan, there's not much need to have a popcorn plant in Indiana if you can't grow popcorn here. So we kind of switched gears a little bit, and we'd been growing a little bit of corn in Missouri, but we grow from Sikeston, Missouri up to Lima, Ohio, just to spread our risk out a little bit. So we have about 50 farmers that we work with, and the acreage on that ranges from I have one grower that grows 15 acres and then we have growers that grow 2,000 acres.
Sure.
So
Kind of limited by freight, right? I mean, they got to haul to the plant, and so that kind of gets me to let's circle back around a little bit about your customers. I'm pretty sure you don't export it fully popped like my big bag of popcorn here.
I know you've laid claim to that, and I don't
Right
intend
there
to.
where I can touch it.
I don't intend to let you have all that.
So how does tell us about your customers and you said the first part was movie theaters.
yeah.
And what percentages of popcorn goes? What percentage of your popcorn goes to movie theaters?
We're probably 50-50.
50% of it goes to movie theaters.
Around the world. That's what we focus on. We do very little microwave or very little poly bags, and Preferred is a brand that most customers have never heard of. We work behind the scenes. We work with customers that are popping popcorn and selling it in the grocery store shelves. We work with them to grow the specific variety of corn that they want to see in their finished product.
Now, let me stop you there. So there's
Okay.
multiple kinds of kernels that pop popcorn. So I've spent some time with one of your growers at a field day, and we both had we were split time in front of an audience. And he started to talk about his popcorn and the different kernels that there are, the different ways they pop and what they're used for. So let's stop you there and start talking about just for a minute what kind of kernels you got. Not kernels, but
Just here at the Indiana location, we grow 15 to 16 different varieties of corn.
Really?
So we grow, and it's all yellow corn. We don't grow any white popcorn, but we have. I mean, you can get any type of popcorn you want, and it keeps evolving. But for the movie theaters, they want a kernel that's going to expand the most, so they can take a 50-pound bag of popcorn and get 50 to 75 tubs of popcorn to sell in the theater. That's one of their biggest profit margins. You know, with Hollywood, they take most of the movie sales, sometimes a little extra. So the theaters rely on concession sales to survive. So when you go to the theater, buy popcorn. That's pretty simple. Just keep things going.
And that's the biggest, fluffiest popcorn.
That's the highest expansion. Popcorn is rated on an MWVT tester, where you put in 250 grams of popcorn, half a cup of oil, and see how much it'll fill in a tube. So most of it will pop anywhere from 40 times to 50 times. And then we grow, so that we have butterfly popcorn and mushroom popcorn. Butterfly popcorn, the difference is if you cut a kernel of popcorn, butterfly popcorn into, the starch center is going to be about the size of a pencil lead. Mushroom popcorn then is what I refer to as Cracker Jack corn. That's what you eat as caramel corn. It has more of a heart-shaped starch center, so it inverts itself as it explodes. And that's the difference between you may want to ask.
yeah,
I'll just keep rambling on.
That's good. Yeah.
So, why doesn't all corn pop? Why can't you just put field corn or white corn in a kettle and pop it? It's the outer pericarp of the kernel of popcorn is super hard, and the starch center on the inside, and you have to get the correct moisture. The moisture on popcorn is so critical. It has to be between 13.5% and 14.5% moisture, and that varies between varieties even how they will expand the best. So then you put that in there in the kettle and measure that, and that tells the customer then how many servings they're going to get out of that bag of popcorn. So we have people in the retail end of it that want a high, fluffy, tasty corn. And then we have other customers that are wanting to put a little cheese on, so they want more of a mushroom type. But there's all types of. It ranges with 15, 16 different varieties, from a pure round ball to a little thinner round ball that has a crispy taste to it. So that's why our motto is that we're big enough to serve your needs, but we're small enough to still care.
Nice.
So
nice.
I like it.
I did not know that there were that many different varieties of popcorn. What's the shelf life? I mean, how long does popcorn?
But because of the hard pericarp, as long as you can keep the moisture control, and when the farmers bring the corn into our bins, they have OP cables throughout them to monitor that moisture and kick the fans on electronically. So as long as that moisture stays good and you can keep the insects out of it, it'll keep for 2 to 3 years with no issues at all. I mean, the oldest popcorn was found in caves in Mexico that's supposedly over 6,000 years old. So
Wow.
Did it pop?
No, God.
I didn't know.
well,
Well, it was worth asking.
Where'd the corn
yeah.
go?
You
We
wanted to
popped
know.
it.
Yes.
You wanted to know.
So how does the export market? How do you get?
Okay,
how do you get popcorn? Do you put it in little bags, or does it you ship it in containers? How do you get it overseas?
most everything we export is in 35-pound bags, 50-pound bags, or 2,000-pound super sacks. And most popcorn from all the companies, it'll go into a 20-foot container, the short containers that you see traveling on the rail. Those are what primarily we use for popcorn, because you can double stack them in there. They'll hold 42,000 pounds of corn, full semi-load, inside of one of those. Then where we're located at, we have a little bit of an advantage over some other areas in the country. Being close to Louisville, we're only about 30 minutes outside of Louisville, and we have multiple Norfolk Southern tracks and a CSX track. So when we fill the container at our location, it goes to Louisville, gets put on the rail, then it goes either to Norfolk, Charlestown, or Savannah. If it's going to the Middle East or down into Indonesia, if it's going to Japan, sometimes depending on the steamship line, it may go through the Panama Canal, but most of them still go through to Egypt through the Suez Canal. So that's why a couple of years ago during COVID, when the freight ship got sideways in the canal, that caused us more havoc as COVID did, because it totally shut off that supply chain. And that's why what's going on right now, I'm so thankful for our government and all the alliances of governments that are combating these pirates that are working in the sea over there. We have to have this open channel, whether it's popcorn, field corn, or whatever. I mean, our agriculture society here relies on exporting, and those people rely on it for food. So we've got to get it to them, and we have to have a clear path to get it there.
Wouldn't think of Suez Canal problems affecting popcorn exports, but that's pretty amazing.
Yep. Hey, we like to talk about how we farm on this podcast whenever we bring when we bring growers on, and so tell us how popcorn is managed differently than field corn, and what's the incentive to grow it, like what's production, because you're not looking at bushels necessarily per acre, and then if someone's interested in doing it, what is the first step? So,
Okay.
that's a lot.
That's a lot of questions,
That's three
Ryan.
questions,
Okay.
and then I'll be done for a while.
Ryan and I will take a break while you just go ahead.
You just tell us.
Well, when I sit down with a grower, and I've been asked this multiple times, and I take it serious, they'll say, if I choose to grow popcorn with you, can it affect our family's income, our family's lifestyle? And I take that very serious. That a lot of our growers have grown popcorn that I've worked with for 15 years now, and I think that most of them find it a rewarding experience. Personally, on my own farm, I've grown popcorn for a long time, like I've told you, but I feel like I can achieve from $50 to $100 an acre more money than I could if I was growing field corn. Popcorn is bought and sold by the pound instead of by the bushel, so there's all the ground rules about bushels and stuff, throw it out the window. It's all based on pounds, but as a company, and any company, we have to get it back to its economically benefit to grow popcorn. So most companies use a formula times Chicago Board of Trade prices. Some use a fixed price depending on what you're looking for on that. But then I guess with a new grower, Ryan, the thing that I'm interested in is, can you get crop insurance, and what is your protection level on that? Because with popcorn in certain counties, there hasn't been popcorn planted there. So then, or you don't have any experience with a neighboring farm, you have to take the T yield off crop insurance, which is not very good. That's why some of our growers are reverting back to using wind and hail insurance for a little protection, and we have growers that take the multi-peril plus the wind and hail. But that's one of the first things before I'll sign a contract with a new grower is you figure out what your risks are and what you're willing to take. So that's why a lot of growers will start with 50 to 100 acres, and then move up to 400 to 500 acres. Probably 200 acres is probably our average. It's a good fit. popcorn is it's 100% non-GMO. I want that out there. Any popcorn that you're going to consume anywhere in the world today is non-GMO. And as you know,
so don't pay more for one that's marked non-GMO.
Amen. Yeah,
That's pretty good.
yeah. So they go through that, but it's because of that being non-GMO, then you have to treat it like a non-GMO field corn. So that's where your account reps have to wake up a little bit here and don't spray Roundup on it. It'll be dead.
Yeah, takes a little more management to make sure that it stays weed free and free of weeds and diseases.
Yeah, most of our growers, I mean, in this area of southern Indiana, there's a lot of non-GMO field corn raised, so it's not that big of a change. But you're going to use a bicep type product, a dual atrazine type product as a burn down. You can use Verdict, Roundup. There's all kinds of things to get the fields cleared that are all labeled. And it's very clear is when we pick up a label, you can see if it's labeled for popcorn. The Popcorn Board also has a program that you can get on their website, and we have download an app that gets you to, which I know your account reps all use, to see what's labeled for popcorn. It's very clear. If popcorn, sometimes it's worded as popcorn on the label. Sometimes it just says the word corn. As long as it doesn't say field corn or field corn, then if it says the word corn or popcorn on the label, then it's cleared to use. It's also always good to check back with the company and your crop person to make sure to have them double check some of these herbicides, because some of them will affect things. One of the biggest things, we're coming back over the top, like what I do on my own ground. I've been using Acuron spiked with a little atrazine. Then I'll come back over the top. I had been using Revion Q, and then some Zidua, because I've got a little bit of a grass problem in certain fields. But now we've got we've got some new products out. I know Cairo is one that I used on my farm last year. It worked well. I'm not endorsing it because it may not work well this year. We take that. Sure. There's always risk with that, but there are a lot of products out there. So getting back to the other part of the question, Ryan, popcorn is contracted by the acre. One of the bonuses for popcorn is, like, I plant 100 acres of popcorn. So Preferred Popcorn takes 100% of the production that's produced on those acres, and they pay me the set price, where I'm using the Board of Trade times a multiplier, and I set that up to 4 times during the growing season. And most of the other companies do the same thing. And then you're not taking the risk that saying I've got 10,000 bushel that I want to sell in May, and come November I don't have 10,000 bushel, so then I'm paying that other off. So you don't have to worry about that. You're handling about half the volume. 90 bushel of popcorn represents about 5,000 pounds. So you're ending up with the same dollars as you would if you had 175 bushel field corn. That's kind of how I calculate it. That's
pretty attractive by itself.
Yeah.
Don't have to haul as much, and it's worth more.
You're hauling half the volume, and it is worth twice.
Yeah.
So but it has, most popcorn is from 65 to 70 pound test weight. So as a truck driver, if you take your hopper bottom and you round that baby up, you're going to be grossing 110, 120,000 pounds. So don't do that.
Oh no,
That's perfect.
No, that's not.
So, but because popcorn is non-GMO, and it's a lot of the products from the U.S., 200 million pounds is exported annually out of the U.S. From the different companies. I mean, we have that because you have to get permits to do that. If there's a soybean in it, or if there's field corn kernel in it, in Japan especially, they just flip out because they think that that is a GMO trait, and it's contaminated the whole load, and they'll send it back. So that's why you when I would sit down and work with the growers, I've got one grower over in Worsted, Indiana, that their motto is it's going to be popcorn clean. That means that they're going to clean the trucks out, they're going to clean the combines out, the legs. We just can't have contamination, and our contracts are very specific to that you're discounted very heavily, and if it continues to happen, that a luxury of a processor is we don't have to contract with you. So
that going in, so you can be careful and
but not just cleaning equipment out, but I'm sure this must go back to some rotational qualifications for the ground as well, from a cropping rotation standpoint. So, what are your requirements for that?
Good point, Ryan. But we never let a farmer plant popcorn after they've had it in field corn. It usually has to be after soybeans or after wheat.
Just one time?
Just one time.
So
we don't have a contamination issue with some volunteers coming in. Because even though we have very sophisticated equipment, the popcorn goes over a screen cleaner, sorting out the bigs and smalls and the weed seeds, and it goes through 2 color sorters. So our standard of export is 1/10% foreign material. So that's pretty well nil, but it's the risk is too great. Only one soybean seed, and soybean and popcorn are about the same size. Like when you're planting popcorn, your popcorn seed is going to be from 2,000 seeds per pound to 3,000 seeds per pound on the average. So that's about the same size as a soybean seed. So it does take special plates with the planter, and different kernel counts on the seed requires a little adjusting on your corn planter. Even though we have some very sophisticated planters now,
don't they?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
What I guess I got a gotcha question. This may or may not. Microwave popcorn. Is there any difference between the variety that you would buy in a microwave popcorn bag and just like what you would put on your stove and cook it the old-fashioned way, I call it?
No, there's no difference.
No difference at all.
But if you took theater grade popcorn and put it in a microwave bag, it's going to blow the bag apart.
Will it?
Because it's all sold. Most microwave popcorns are looking for a 40 to 44 expansion, where a theater is looking for a 46 plus. So and that's what when our ready to eat customers are talking with us, that it has to be a very narrow margin on the expansion rates, because too small of an expansion, the bag's not full to match the weights. Too high of an expansion, then they can't get the seals to seal on the top of the bag. So just like when you buy a bag of potato chips in the store, you want that bag as full as you can get it, and our popcorn customers want the same thing.
It's interesting.
Yeah. So, all right, other companies, not necessarily that you want to promote them, but Indiana. So tell us where Indiana ranks nationally as far as popcorn production, and how important is popcorn to our agricultural revenue stream?
With Preferred Popcorn having their headquarters in Nebraska, we have a little bit of a battle between us, because Indiana and Nebraska are number 1 and number 2, and the Popcorn Board used to report all of that, and there's been a little mix up on how that's certified through USDA, because when you go to your local office here and you're certifying popcorn, some of the staff will report it as in different levels, as seed, processed. There's several different levels on that. So anyway, but every year the farmers certify their acreage. So as processors, we're able to take those acres, and Indiana, the last 2 or 3 years, has been beating out Nebraska. So there's only last year, it's such a small niche market. Last year there's 248,000 acres of popcorn certified planted in the U.S. compared to 90 plus million acres of field corn, Ryan. So
wow.
it's a small niche market. And then Indiana was certified as 89,000 acres. Nebraska had 81,000 acres. So between Indiana,
that's a clear win.
But yes. But the main takeaway is that we won.
Oh
right?
yes, always. Yeah,
that is pretty neat that market, and then the balance of that. So half goes to movie theaters globally, and then the other half goes to just stores like retailers and resellers. I mean, can somebody come by the plant and buy popcorn in this? Maybe not popped in a giant bag like I've got over here.
We don't sell any
Ryan keeps
popcorn.
looking at my bag of popcorn.
It's not yours.
Yeah, because we're testing popcorn all the time. What they're laughing about is we have a big garbage bag full of popcorn. We end up popping about 5 or 6 of those a day between the processing and the bagging area, making sure that the product leaving our plant meets all the specifications that the customers ask for.
I think we need to do that 10 times.
Oh
We had a plant. I think we should pop more.
So one of our growers has chickens, so we do a little bartering. You know, farmers are big barterers. So he brings the employees eggs. So then he gets a pickup truck load of popcorn to go feed his chickens.
Indiana.
Because why wouldn't you?
Because
That's right.
Indiana.
That's right. Well, Indiana is famous with Orville Redenbacher. I mean, he's when you go anywhere in the world and you talk about popcorn, there's not very few conversations where Orville Redenbacher's name doesn't come up. And I got to go to Purdue fish fry one year when they honored him as the hero of Indiana. So that was pretty exciting. It's the only time I'd ever met him. But he was a plant breeder. He was a farmer. And then ConAgra, when they started buying up some companies and built their place up, they put him up on a pedestal. And man, that is when popcorn in the U.S. really took off.
Huh.
It just you have to have some niche to get it going out. So in Indiana, if we're going to grow 89,000 acres, it takes a lot of processors to handle that. So I came up with 9. I'm sure I probably missed one, but ConAgra Snack Foods, Weaver Popcorn, Gutwein Popcorn, Ramsey Popcorn, Preferred Popcorn, Amish Country, Black Jewel, Yoder, and Real. So that's pretty good size. And then
It is.
Yeah. Good.
And if a grower wants to grow popcorn, they can reach you at calling the office down there at Preferred Popcorn. And
yeah, our phone number there is 812-364-6717.
all right.
Nice.
So
Nice. Anything else for us, Brian?
well, the seed then,
Oh, yeah. Okay.
There's 5 seed companies that produce the seed, and by working with some customers internationally, most all of the seed anywhere in the world is raised here in the United States. So Ag Alumni at Romney is one of the largest, and then you have ConAgra, Crookham, out in Idaho, Zanger, Slushman Seed, and Weaver Seeds. So it's kind of that's really neat when you're talking with farmers from South Africa. I get to interact with some of them. That's kind of our competition.
Really?
With the popcorn industry, with the popcorn board, we all get together a couple times a year. And, our competition is more farmers in Argentina, South Africa, Brazil. Now we've got some popcorn being grown in Turkey. So, in India, there's quite a bit of popcorn planted in India. And most of it there is planted by hand in 2-acre plots. Wow. So it's one of my aha moments, Ryan, was that I got to go with our company, to China, Western China, and look at some processing plants over there because we grow a little bit of corn there and work with them well. And to go to a farm out in the middle of nowhere, so to speak, and visit with farmers there planting the same varieties of popcorn in the same time frame that we do here. That was kind of exciting, and they were planting Ag Alumni seeds. So
Pretty neat.
So I would guess after this episode of the High Ground airs, you'll be just like Orville Redenbacher. Ryan. There won't be a conversation had. No. There will be Bryan Churchill Preferred Popcorn after being on here. So
don't think so, Ryan. Hey, I'll get a plug in July 5th and 6th. We have a popcorn festival in Corden, and then we cover the streets with popcorn. So
well, we should go to that. They'll need your bag back.
No, I'm keeping my bag.
All right. That's great. Hey, that's a good plug. Anything else you have for us, Brian?
No,
this has been very interesting. I appreciate you coming. This was pretty last minute too. I mean, he knew for 3 days now to be on here.
Pretty much, yeah.
Hey, that's what you get for eating lunch with us. Yeah. That's what you get for sitting down and eating lunch with us.
I got a free lunch and then I have to pay for it.
Yeah.
When I talk about bartering.
Exactly right. There you go. There you go.
Hopefully I get a discount on my chemicals this year.
Well, talk to Sal. Talk to Sal. All right. Well, that's what I've got, Sal. You got anything else?
That's all I've got.
All right. Well, that's another episode of The High Ground, powered by Premier Companies. If you like what you hear and see, please like and subscribe and follow us anywhere you get your podcast.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you.